Have you ever pondered on the power of a single tweet or a Facebook post in shaping political movements? Let's take a step back to the early days of social media, when the concept was still a fledgling idea, barely out of the nest. The advent of social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and later Instagram presented a new frontier for human interaction. Initially, these platforms were seen as spaces for personal connections, a way to share life's moments with friends and family. However, it didn't take long for these social spaces to be recognized for what they really were: powerful tools for communication, engagement, and influence. Enter the realm of politics. Politicians, always looking for ways to connect with their constituents, saw the potential in these platforms. They began to use social media to share their messages, engage with voters, and shape public opinion. Consider the early days of political figures on Twitter. It started with simple announcements, sharing of stances on issues, and the occasional call to action. But, as the potential of this new form of communication became apparent, the tweets became more strategic, more targeted. And it wasn't just Twitter. Facebook, with its wider reach, became a platform for political discussions, campaign announcements, and even live town halls. It gave politicians a way to connect with people on a more personal level, breaking down the barriers that traditional media presented. Remember Barack Obama's presidential campaign in 2008? It was one of the first instances where a political campaign utilized social media effectively, reaching out to millions of voters, particularly young ones, through platforms they were already using daily. And so, the dawn of social media politics began. Politicians were no longer just figures on a television screen or voices on a radio. They were now present in our daily social media feeds, interacting with us, influencing us, and shaping our perceptions. The dawn of social media politics had just begun, and little did we know, it was about to change the political landscape forever. As social media platforms evolved, so did their influence on political movements. It's intriguing to see how the digital landscape has revolutionized the way we perceive and participate in politics. This transformation was not overnight. It was a gradual process, a journey that we all embarked on together, unknowingly. In the initial stages, social media was seen as a platform for networking and entertainment. But as its reach expanded, it began to seep into the world of politics. It became a tool for politicians to connect with their constituents, a platform for citizens to voice their opinions, and a space for dialogue and debate. The turning point came with the advent of the Arab Spring. This series of protests and uprisings across the Middle East was significantly influenced by social media. It was used as a tool to organize protests, spread information, and rally support. It helped ordinary citizens challenge authoritarian regimes and demand change. The events of the Arab Spring clearly demonstrated the power of social media as a tool for political change. But the influence of social media doesn't stop at sparking revolutions. It has also played a significant role in shaping public opinion during election campaigns. Politicians and parties now use social media to reach voters directly, bypassing traditional media gatekeepers. This shift has led to a more interactive and participatory form of politics. Yet, this new age of digital politics is not without its challenges. The ease of spreading information also means the ease of spreading misinformation. And the power to influence public opinion comes with great responsibility. These issues will be discussed in the upcoming scenes. The rise of social media has undoubtedly transformed the political landscape. It has democratized information, giving power to the people. It has made politics more accessible and inclusive. The power was shifting from the hands of traditional media to the hands of the people, marking the rise of digital democracy. But with great power comes great responsibility, a responsibility that wasn't always handled well. As we delve further into the impact of social media on political movements, we cannot ignore the elephant in the room: misinformation, or as it's more colloquially known, fake news. Misinformation is not a new concept. It has been a part of human history for as long as stories have been told. But the advent of social media, with its potential for rapid, unfiltered dissemination of information, has amplified its effect to an unprecedented level. Misinformation on social media has become a wildfire, spreading unchecked, influencing political events, and swaying public sentiment. Let's take a moment to understand the gravity of this issue. Imagine a game of whispers, where a message gets distorted as it passes from person to person. Now, imagine this on a global scale with billions of players and no fact-checkers. This is the reality of our digital age. Misinformation is not just misleading, it's a potential threat to the democratic process. The role of misinformation in politics is a tale as old as time, but its impact has been significantly magnified by social media. It has the power to shape public opinion, influence voting behavior, and even incite violence. It's a tool that can be used to sow discord, create confusion, and manipulate the truth. The consequences of this are far-reaching. Misinformation can undermine trust in institutions, fuel social divisions, and even destabilize governments. It's a Pandora's box that, once opened, is difficult to close. As we've seen in recent years, social media platforms have been used as a stage for political warfare. Misinformation campaigns, driven by both domestic and foreign actors, have exploited the vulnerabilities of these platforms, causing widespread confusion and mistrust. So how did we get here? The answer lies in the very nature of social media. It's a platform that prioritizes engagement over truth, where sensationalism often trumps fact-checking. It's a platform that, in its quest for clicks and shares, has inadvertently created a fertile ground for the spread of misinformation. The era of misinformation was upon us, casting a shadow over the power of social media in politics. The question now is, what does the future hold for social media and political movements? As we delve deeper into the 21st century, the role of social media in political discourse becomes ever more pertinent. The potential future of social media in politics is, to say the least, complex. It's a labyrinth of possibilities that we are only beginning to navigate. In the wake of the digital revolution, social media platforms have become the new town squares, where political debates are no longer confined to parliaments or political rallies. However, this open forum also paves the way for misinformation, manipulation, and divisiveness. The challenge we face is finding a balance, a way to safeguard democratic discourse while also preserving freedom of speech. This brings us to the question of regulation. On one hand, there's a growing call for stricter rules on how social media platforms operate. These could range from more stringent fact-checking measures to regulations on political advertising. On the other hand, there's the argument that too much regulation could stifle innovation and impede free speech. It's a delicate tightrope to walk, and one that necessitates careful thought and consideration. And then there's the issue of social responsibility. With power comes responsibility, and social media platforms wield an immense amount of it. They have the ability to shape public opinion, influence elections, and even incite social movements. As such, they have a responsibility to ensure their platforms are used ethically and responsibly. This could mean investing more in artificial intelligence to detect hate speech or disinformation, or it could mean working more closely with governments and organizations to promote healthy political discussions. In the end, the future of social media in politics is as unpredictable as the technology that drives it. It will likely be shaped by a myriad of factors, from technological advancements to changing societal norms. But as we grapple with these challenges, let's not lose sight of the fact that social media has given a voice to the voiceless and has the potential to foster greater political engagement and democracy. The future of social media in politics is uncertain, but one thing is clear: the influence of social media on political movements is here to stay. From its beginnings to its current state, social media has undeniably shaped political movements. Indeed, we've seen how from its early days, social media has evolved to become a significant player in the political arena. The dawn of social media politics was marked by politicians and political organizations harnessing the power of these platforms to reach a wider audience, to engage with them in real time, and to create a more direct channel of communication. It was a novel approach that broke down barriers and brought politics closer to the people. The rise and influence of social media in politics did not stop there. As its reach broadened, so did its impact. We saw the emergence of political movements that were born out of and fueled by social media. Movements that were able to mobilize thousands, even millions of individuals towards a common cause. From rallying voters for an election to organizing protests for social change, social media has shown us that it can be a powerful tool for political mobilization. But along with these positive influences, we also delved into the darker side of social media politics, the era of misinformation. We explored how the ease of sharing information, coupled with the lack of regulation, has made social media a breeding ground for fake news and misinformation. This has, in turn, led to a more polarized political landscape, where truth is often blurred and public opinion easily swayed. This brought us to the issue of regulation and responsibility. We've discussed how governments, social media platforms, and users themselves all have a role to play in ensuring that social media is used responsibly. The future of social media in political movements hinges on finding a balance between freedom of speech and the need to prevent the spread of harmful misinformation. As we navigate this digital age, it's important to remember the power that lies in our hands, or rather, at our fingertips. It's a power that can either be used to build or to destroy, to enlighten or to deceive, to unite or to divide. And so, as we continue to use social media to shape our political futures, let's strive to use it responsibly, wisely, and for the greater good.